everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see on my thumbnail, today I want to talk about the updated kits about the upcoming characters that will be appear on Honkai Star Rail 2.2, which is Boothill. I know on my last video I already talked about him, but since his leaked kit is just an early kit, there's many things that we still don't quite know how about his kit works. Recently, there's an updated info about the Boothill's kit, and I guess you can find it everywhere, and he's become so much better than the previous version. So today let's talk everything about his kits, start from his skills, his traces, his Eidolons, and last and of course his signature Lightcones. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Boothill will become the 4th physical 5-star characters in this game, and he is following the path of the hunt. So of course he will become awesome DPS if you pair him with Robin in the future. And before we talk about the new leaked version of Boothill, let's talk about the previous version first. As you can see at this previous leaked kits, he will fill the role as the main DPS since all his kit will dealing damage to the enemies. And maybe he's a perfectly fit with Robin as his support since they both will make a good combination. He has a vulnerable debuffs on his kit, which is pretty good, but sadly it only works to physical attack damage. He also can do an AoE attack through his enhanced basic attack, so he's not a pure single target character. Okay, since you already know the previous version, now let's talk about the new version of his kits. First is his basic attack, Skull Crush Spurs. Like usual, it only deals a single target damage with no evac at all. Next is his enhanced attack. His new enhanced attack is really different from the previous version. In this new version, his enhanced attack only hits one target only. And every stack of pocket trick shot, he will deals an additional hit with physical damage to the target. This enhanced basic attack can only viable through his skill. Next thing is his skill. To be honest, his skill is quite interesting for me. He will buff himself and target enemy a unique buff called standoff. And when the enemy receives the standoff buff, the enemy target is stunted, which means the enemy cannot target the another party members except the Boothill. After that, his basic attack is enhanced into his enhanced basic attack, which called Vanning the Hammer. Okay, now let's talk about his ultimate. Unlike his skill, his ultimate is quite simple, but I think it's still a good thing. It will inflict a physical weaknesses debuff, which is a new debuff, and after that he will deals damage to the target and delays their action. To be honest, if you read on this description, it will remind you of Wealth, which can delay the enemy's action, but the different thing is Wealth is an AoE attack, but Boothill is on single attack target and got more DPS side. His talent is also quite interesting. When the target enemy is defeated or weakness broken, then the standoff buff will dispels and Boothill will receive one stack of pocket trick shot. What is pocket trick shot? Pocket Trick Shot is some stack system for Boothill to deal additional hits or damage. So the higher number of stacks do you have, then you will deal a lot of damage. Next is his technique. To be honest, for his technique, it's not quite as interesting as his skill. His technique is quite simple. He will inflict a physical weakness to the enemy when he is using his skill. I think it's too simple for a brand new 5-star like him. What do you think? Let's move on to his traces. For me personally, his traces is maybe one of the best thing on his kit. The first one, Point Blank, will regenerate 10 energy when he gets his pocket trick shot. The second traces, Above Snakes, will decreases the damage Boothill received from target not in standoff buff by 30%, which means he will be a durable unit even though he is a DPS character. And the last one is Ghost Load, which can increase critical rate and critical damage based on his break evac. So it's pretty clear that we need tons of break evac to utilize these traces. And now let's move on to his Eidolons. Actually, sorry if I'm being too honest about this one. For 5-star units, his kits seems need a buff. I know there's nothing wrong with his Eidolons, but he can do better at his kit. I think the best thing from his Eidolons is his Eidolons 2, which can regenerate 1 skill points and increases break evac by 30% for 2 turns every single time he obtains pocket trickshot through his talent. Okay, next we will talk about his signature Lightcones. It's called Sailing Toward a Second Life. It will boost the wearer's break evac by 60% and ignores 20% of target's defense when inflicting break damage on them. When the user hits an enemy, they receive 1% more damage. This effect is only effective on the most recent enemy hit by the wearer and can be stacked up to 6 times. I'm still not quite sure for its effect, but I think 1% more damage is pretty low for a 5-star Lightcones. I hope they will buff it soon. So, after we talk about his updated kits, let's talk about should you pull him or not. He has a physical weakness debuff, which maybe he will become a key unit for mono physical team later. He can delay the enemy turn even though it's just a single target. I'm not quite sure about his damage, but if he has his maximum pocket trickshot, then maybe he has a potential to become a huge damage dealer later. He also has a critical rate and critical damage passive buffs from his talent, so it's really good, right? But he also has some cons too. You need tons of break evac to make his kits work. His kits only do a single target damage, so he doesn't really has an AoE at all. Okay guys, that's everything about his new kits, and what do you think? Please leave your comment below. Don't forget to check out my another guide video. Thank you for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you next video. Bye bye.